Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third part of our three-part series on grant writing for success. In part one, good grant writing is good storytelling. We looked at the keys for providing all of the boilerplate information, such as your contact information, your mission statement, the background and history of your organization, forming a team, and the best way to write well. In part two, we looked at all of the particular most common elements of a grant proposal, focusing, of course, on the Arts Council's three grant proposals and what's required in each answer, how to be succinct, how to write clearly and convincingly, and how to weave each of the required responses into a coherent and convincing whole. In this third section, we are going to look at how to reuse, recycle, and reapply your grant ideas for funding. Now, there are two kinds of grant proposals. One is an operating support proposal, and one is a project or programmatic proposal. There are also various kinds of grants that you can apply for. Private grants, those are from foundations and charitable trusts, and many corporations even have their own grant philanthropic organizations in which they allow you to apply for a grant. It's a corporate giving program. The other kind of grants are public grants, and those are from local, state, or federal agencies. Those are generally more complex because they're the use of public monies. And so there are generally more uploads to provide about your organization, your budgets, your mission statement, your IRS determination, and other kinds of documentation, as well as more kinds of questions that you need to respond to. Most public grants are from larger sources of funds. When I say larger, I mean 50,000 to multi-hundred thousand to multi-million dollar grant requests for 1 to 2 to 3 years of operating support. For a small organization, that is not a good way to go unless you collaborate and bring together a group of partners in which the whole equals much more than the one small applicant. But for most of you listening to this grant writing series, you will be most successful in applying locally or regionally or statewide for your grant request. Which brings us to one of the most important aspects of grant writing. Know your organization. Know the funding agency to which you're applying. That requires research. Research on the internet or through the foundation directories or through other comprehensive listings of grant organizations, of funding agencies. The first place to start is at the funding agency itself. It's very important for you to research, what is this agency interested in? What are the programs that it supports? What are the priorities within those programs? For example, there's an arts and culture program, an education program, a health program, an environmental program. Well, for arts organizations, you would look at the arts and culture program. And then within that, there may be certain priorities. For example, the organization may just want to fund performing arts, not visual arts. The organization may want to fund programs that enhance after-school activities, not in-school activities. There are programs that may want to only support festivals or not support festivals or not support operating support for arts and culture. So you need to really research What is this funding agency about? What are the programs it supports? And what are the priorities within those programs? For example, for an education program, they may only want to support at-risk youth, or only K through 12 education, or only higher education. So you get the gist. Okay, so you're looking at this funding agency, and the next step, the best place to go is to their annual report. Most annual reports online are a year or two behind the current year, but you can look at that annual report and how does that funding agency promote its giving? What kinds of organizations did it give to? At what amounts, and how many are near or located within your own geographic area? Geographic areas are often an area of limitation for a funding agency. It may say only supports Bay Area, meaning San Francisco Bay Area, and is Monterey County considered a Bay Area organization, region, or not? It may only want to support, as many of our local foundations, organizations that operate within Monterey County or within the Central Coast. That's something you need to find out. It's another example of knowing your funding agency. Reading the different kinds of projects and priorities, if they have funded, gives you a clue as to its current interests. You may also need to look at news releases or public news releases. That's a little bit harder to find, but that will tell you how is the funding agency promoting the organizations it supports and the program and priorities that it emphasizes. Now, having said that, you should be well aware that staff changes and boards change. Heads of boards change, board members are changed. And therefore, a program or a priority or a focus or interest in a funding agency may change. Okay, so you've reached your funding agency and you say, okay, this one looks like something that I can apply. Now, I got accepted by funding agency A for $10,000, but my project is really a $30,000 project. How can I gain support for the rest of that funding need? Or you may have been rejected and you can say, oh my gosh, I'm rejected. I'm just going to toss this application aside. I'm not going to apply for this project anymore. Wrong. It may have not been right for the funding agency that you applied to. It may have had too many grant applications that year and it really had to severely cut back. You may have just been under the wire for the minimum number of points you need to score successfully. Sometimes the funding agency will give you feedback on where your grant application fell short. Most often than not, it does not have the staff bandwidth or the requirements to give you feedback. Nonetheless, don't feel rejected. Take that idea, take that program, and reuse it, recycle it, and reapply to other funding agencies. So, what do? You should be looking at how you can tweak your project into the program or priority of the new funding agency. That means taking your idea and saying, how can I expand it? How can I revise it? How can I tweak it to match the program and priorities of this new agency? If your project is a collaborative project, you have a wider range of funding agencies to appeal to, first to research and then to appeal to. So for example, in the other two parts of this funding seminar, we looked at a project in which we were going to create a mural by visual artists forming teams going out into the community and looking for other sources of support, but it was a project of an arts organization teaming with a library to get support to create a new visual, an appealing visual, a mural that tells you a story about the library in the city. Well, now you have two sources of funding. One is libraries, and one is arts and cultural organizations. And you may even be able to tweak this into an education proposal by discussing how the children or the people involved will have to use math and history and research the city's archives to find out information that will make the images on the mural more representative of what the city and the library and your arts organization are about. So now you can be clicking in your mind, oh, this arts project is a library project. It's an education project. It's an arts project. It's also a city government project. Oh, I now have maybe more than two, possibly three, possibly four sources of funding that I can appeal to reapply for this grant project or for operating support. What I'm discussing is for public operating support from public and private agencies and from programmatic support. So what you need to do is to take your idea and reapply it, recycle it, reuse it. Now, what you should come up with is an appealing, convincing 2 to 3 sentences that now describe your project and your next step, having researched the funding agencies, having looked at a broader scope of appeal of who you may approach, having retweaked your idea, having re-expressed it into 2 or 3 clear, convincing sentences, is to write an email to the new program officer that you're going to want to apply to, that organization that he or she represents. You're going to write an email requesting a discussion with that program officer, asking for a specific date or time that he or she may be available. And the reason for doing that is so that you can get on the phone and take those 3 sentences and say it to that program officer. Hello, Ms. X. Hello, Mr. X. I am Arlene. I am representing X organization, and we have a really terrific idea for funding, and we're not sure that it is appropriate for your organization, but we would like to create a mural on our town's library to represent the history of our city and of the library in an inviting, convincing way that opens the doors of the library to the community. And we're wondering if the education program in your organization or the arts and cultural organization in your program in your organization is the most appropriate to apply to. Wow, I got it out. I didn't let the program officer interrupt me. And I gave him or her the opportunity to listen to my idea and to respond. That's the way you go about recycling and reapplying and reusing your grant application. And by the way, the story, a little scenario I gave of speaking directly to a program officer, that's the first step in any grant application you ever do. Whether it's a federal government program officer, a state or regional or local, you want to make individual contact with that program officer that he or she understands your organization, gets excited by your ideas, and willingly offers you advice, because that's why they're there. Every funding agency wants to support a project or an organization that will bring success to the organization and that will well reflect on the funding agency. It's a partnership between you and your funding source, because success is the name of the game. Success for you to complete your project, to have it shine as an example, to extend it for a second or third year of funding, and for the funding organization, it's too much work to curtail an inappropriate request that is not meeting its goals and falling slack. It's difficult for a program office to explain why he or she wasn't staying on top of this organization that all of a sudden fell flat on its face. It's difficult for funding agencies to take back money and reapply it for another year of funding and reallocate those funds in its budget. It's as complicated for the funding agency as it is for you. But using the advice of this seminar, really tuning into the three parts and what we've emphasized, hopefully you will never ever face that scenario, and that every grant application that you write brings you a feeling of accomplishment, of empowerment, and of success. So thank you for being with us, and we hope this has answered your questions. We did have some questions that came in about making sure everything matches what the funding agency requires, of understanding in these hard times how the funding agency may look upon your request, but mostly for you to have a sense of security that your application, your organization, your request reflects well upon you, the organization, and your community. So hopefully all of this has led to Grant Writing for Success. Thank you for being with us.